Hi, it's Bremeetsworld, and this series is called Shadow Prompts. In this series, we be doing shadow prompts, and we be doing journal prompts that will help us heal. Today's prompt, I think, is great for the Thanksgiving holiday. Today's prompt is called "What I Learned to Hide in Order to Keep the Peace." And I think that not only as adults, but definitely as teenagers, we learn to hide certain things about us in order to keep the peace. Whether it's sexuality, whether it's abuse, whether it's sexual abuse, physical abuse, we learn to hide these things in order to keep the peace. We also learn to hide pregnancies, grades. We learn to hide our personality. Most importantly, we definitely learn our personalities in order to keep the peace. Especially not just to keep the peace, but to keep us from being the topic of conversation during the holidays. One poem that I think will resonate with this prompt what happened to that little girl? What happened to that innocent little girl, the quiet, kind, and respectful little girl? I think I wrote this poem when I decided to stop hiding. When I realized I was no longer hiding anymore. When I realized that that little girl no longer existed. That little shy girl no longer existed. I wrote this poem November 26, 2012, so I was 17. And this is right during Thanksgiving time. And I think that I wrote this poem as a statement that I was no longer hiding who I was. That little girl was gone. The little girl that pleased you. The little girl that hid who she truly was. To please you, to please my mom, to please my dad, to please my aunts and uncles, to please the church, or please religion. I let those things go. And then when I go deeper into the poem, certain things about that little girl I miss because I didn't even get to experience it, because I was too busy hiding me that I didn't really even get the experience to be the little girl. And I think that we need to take into account that when parents or family members or when religion tell us to hide who we are in order to keep the peace or quote unquote normal status quo, that destroys our childhood, that destroys our teenage years, because we're so focused on hiding ourselves or hiding things that's going on with us or happening to us, that we're not enjoying the luxuries of being a child or being a teenager. So I challenge everyone that is watching this video to do this prompt yourself. Answer these two questions with this prompt. After answering that first question, what have you learned to hide in order to keep the peace? Did you learn to hide your sexuality? Did you learn to hide your personality? Did you learn to hide abuse in order to keep the peace? Who told you that you had to hide that in order to keep the peace? And if it was more than one person, elaborate. Really write these things down. You know that's the way you're really going to heal. And lastly, what would happen if you was to show that now? Okay? So one thing that I think that I hid to keep the peace was how much I was being emotionally and verbally abused. I hid it to keep the peace because when I spoke out about it, it caused me more harm than help. And the person that made me feel like I had to hide it in order to keep the peace was the one person I went to help me. And that was my father. Because my father felt like he could not solve the problem, it shouldn't be a problem. And so I began to pretend like it wasn't a problem. And I began to stop talking about it. And I hid it in order to keep the peace. Another thing that I hid in order to keep the peace was my depression. I came up with the whole mechanism, which is my bubbly, optimistic personality. Because when I didn't, it seemed like there was no peace. If my attitude was messed up, if I was depressed, if I was low, if I was sad, if I was mad, that affected everything around me. So I had to learn to hide my true feelings. I had to learn to hide my sadness. I had to learn how to hide my depression. I had to learn how to hide my anxiety until I couldn't hide it anymore. And being a child, being a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old, 15-year-old, hiding these things is not good. Pretending like you're okay when you're not okay is not good, just to keep the peace. Just so people don't, oh, you shouldn't feel that way. Why do you feel that way? Just so you don't have to hear that, just to keep the peace. You walk around like everything's okay, and it's not. I want to make sure that you know you're not alone. You are not alone. We have all been taught wrong. We have all been taught to hide things in order to keep the peace. Things that are mentally hurting us. Things that are mentally draining us. We have been told to hide. And I want to challenge you to stop hiding it. Stop hiding it. What will happen if you stop hiding it? And if it's really bad, what will happen if you stop hiding it? You still got to stop hiding it. You have to stop hiding it so you can finally be free. Remember, it's called hide and seek. If you're constantly hiding it, how can you ever seek peace? How can you seek peace? You hiding things to keep the peace is disrupting your peace. You know? And to keep hiding is to keep yourself in a closet and keep yourself trapped. My advice is to answer those 3 questions, answer this prompt. What have you learned to hide in order to keep the peace? Was it abuse? Was it your personality? Was it your grades? Was it your friends? Was it your job? You know? What have you hid in order to keep the peace? And who told you had to hide it to keep the peace? And what would happen if you was to show it? If you was to reveal it? You know, because like I said, it's called hide and seek. You keep hiding, you're never going to seek true healing. You're never going to seek true peace for you. It doesn't matter how everybody else feel. Focus on your peace for once, you know? But thank you for joining me. Bremeetsworld Shadow Prompts, episode 1. And come back again so we can do these prompts and heal together. Thank you.